So alright, today's video is more or less a continuation on the last project. But before we get started, I have a quick question for you guys. What do you think of when you think of 3D printing? Do you perhaps think of Octoprint or your slicer? What about the filament rolls themselves? Well, this here is exactly what I think of when I think of 3D printing. And yeah, I kinda wish what I said was just a joke, but no, this is real. I can actually 3D print with nothing more than my Game Boy Advance. It took a lot of work to get this working, and it deserves its own video, so expect a part 2 on this, but we will talk about it a bit here today. With that said, I did say this is a continuation of the last video, and in that last video, you guys did not get to see the other encoders and decoders that I have made. And this here are two of the encoders and decoders that you guys didn't get to see. I made a Game Boy/Game Boy Color port, and a Game Boy Advance ROM. I first of all started off hand coding the Game Boy port, but I gave my code to an LLM, and honestly the GBA port it made was so much better, so I just told it to redo the whole project. That's not to say that everything was hunky-dory with this port. I actually had to go through and fix all the text and all the menus. It was broken out of the gate, but I really loved the interactive menu this thing came up with, and I decided to port that to all the other builds as well. Not only is it interactive when you want it to be, it's not interactive when you don't want it to be, and it's also able to decode in real time. While I was messing around with this, I was making some OpenSCAD, encoders. The idea of this OpenSCAD generator, it's on screen as well as in the description if you wish to click the link and play around with it in your web browser. The idea is to give it some text. It will let you generate a keychain, a coin, perhaps a coaster. There's a few various different shapes and sizes in this program, but the idea is that when you give it text, it encodes it into the 8x8 grid, just like with the rewritable 8x8 grid of 64-byte memory. Obviously this isn't rewritable though, but it hides the data inside the infill of the print itself. Now you can print these with 100% infill, or no infill at all because they're hollow voids, and when you shine a light behind them, there you go, you can see the hidden data within it. Now I left the top of these things pretty much blank so that you can put your own one-layer design on top, or you can paint it or doodle on it, it's up to you. My original idea here was I was going to have some custom text you can generate on top that's one layer thick that won't get in the way of seeing the bits. I never really got around to it. However, when I started to mess with the Game Boy Advance port, I'm thinking eventually I'll add a paint menu which will let you doodle any design you want on top. Again, I haven't really got around to it. But yeah, as I was messing around with this generator, I realized a lot of the code once it was sliced was pretty much copied and pasted blocks. So all I really had to do was change a dash and a circle out in G-code, and I realized something as low-end as a Game Boy Advance could do this. And with my Game Boy Advance sitting right next to my printer, well, I knew this had to be done. Technically, you could port over any model to have it be 3D printed, or you could go and change some other OpenSCAD programs and set them up to work on the Game Boy Advance as well. But for my first test, I thought it'd be cool just to try out my basic OpenSCAD, program that I had up and running. Now, I really knew nothing when it came to the Game Boy Advance link port. Honestly, I didn't even know what baud rate it can really communicate at. So I made a simple test menu. I actually kept it in the final revision of the ROM. This lets you turn on all pins as a GPIO on and off. Then I made a simple quote-unquote UART blast option. Essentially, this is going to be mimicking what the pins will do later on. It's essentially bit banging nonsense. I used this to map out my cable, but I'll save you some headache. Here's a pin diagram on screen. Essentially, you're only going to need pin 3, 4, and 6, so cut your link cable in half. Even all cheap Game Boy Advance link cables will have at least one end of the cable with these 4 or 3 pins that we need. And once you have it cut, get your pin 3 from your GBA link cable, hook it up to GPIO 5 on the Pico. And yeah, I forgot to mention it, we're going to need a Pico for this project, just because it has to convert the printer's baud rate into something the Game Boy understands, and something the Game Boy Advance outputs has to be then translated so that the printer understands. So that's why we're going to need a Pico here. But yeah, you hook pin 3 up to GPIO 5, pin 4 up to GPIO 4, and pin 6, our ground, just gets hooked up to ground on our Pico. Now, with all the source files and stuff for this project, I wrote down very comprehensive instructions for how you actually compile the OTG firmware for this thing, because even though it was advertised as a feature the Pico could do, I had a heck of a time trying to get this to actually work. So if you wish to compile the firmware yourself or do changes to it, be sure to read that note, it will save you a massive headache. But thankfully, I did all the compilation for you. Just get the UF2 file from the GitHub, plug the Pico in your computer, drag and drop the UF2 file on, and basically unplug the Pico from your computer right after, because right now it's in OTG mode, and it's not great for it to be in the computer when in that state for very long. After you did that, you need to now get the Game Boy Advance ROM onto your Game Boy. There's a few different ways to go about doing this. If you have a flash card, just drag and drop the .gba file onto it. If you're like me and you have a reproduction card, you could flash those with the DS Lite. If you haven't seen my video on that, check it out. It's pretty cool and I still do it to this date. Honestly, flashing a reproduction GBA card is super cheap, super easy, and you can have multiple of these things made. Overall, it's my recommended go-to choice, but if you have a flash card, you can just use that. Once you have two things flashed and set up, you get a USB-Y OTG splitter. You know, the cable that you'd use for something like a PlayStation Classic to plug your controller in the back of it, that exact cable. I'll leave links to everything down below in the description just so you can find this stuff easier. After that, just like with Octoprint, you're going to need a modified micro USB cable. If you haven't had an Octoprint server before or don't know about this tweak, you gotta cut the power line out of the micro USB cable, then put that cable's end into the USB-Y splitter. I'll have a picture of what I mean by this. Hopefully you can figure it out. The idea is so the printer doesn't backfeed the Pico or the Pico doesn't backfeed into the printer pretty much. Once you have all that set up and in place, printer's plugged into the Pico, Pico's off, turn your printer on, plug the Pico in, and turn your Game Boy Advance on, and if everything was successful, your Pico's LED light shouldn't be blinking, it should stay solidly lit. To explain some of the debug features of the LED on this Pico, if it's pulsing, it hasn't found your printer, if it's solid, it found your printer, and if it starts strobing after a print, that means a few G-code lines were potentially skipped, so we have to end up debugging a bit more. But for the most part, it has been wildly stable for me, and I haven't ran into that issue. But yeah, once the light's solid, you go to the encode section, you put some text in, push start, and you're ready to print that. But I recommend going over to the printer control menu and raising the printhead nozzle up just to see if it moves, or preheating the bed preemptively. Speaking of bed temperatures and nozzle temperatures, it's a default of 200 for the nozzle and 55 for the bed, so if your printer struggles with this, you may want to recompile the firmware, or perhaps wait, just because I'm gonna eventually add in custom temperature control settings to this. Right now it's just my defaults that work best with my PLA. Another thing that's kind of a default is it's set for a standard Ender 3 bed size, so if your printer's smaller running Marlin, this might not work. Eventually I'm going to add custom bed size control options to the menus as well, but I just wanted to make sure everything works and get a stable release out. Once the bed's heated up, you can hit 3D print. Don't worry if the GBA ROM looks frozen, it will resume and be in time with what's going on with the print. If you hit 3D print and the Game Boy Advance just freezes and never resumes, or the build plate or the printer doesn't move at all, chances are your connections are wrong. That's something I left in the Game Boy ROM. You'll notice it if you unplug the link cable and try to hit print, the GBA will freeze. That is a normal feature because there's a handshake that goes on between the printer and the Game Boy. Printer sends out a bunch of OKs when it's clear to send G-code so that the printer's buffer doesn't overflow. So if there's nothing sending an OK back to the Game Boy, well, it gets stuck in this frozen state. Think of it like a safety feature I just decided to keep in place for debugging purposes. But yeah, when you hit print, it should look something like this. It prints out, and it's relatively quick when it comes to the first two layers. The bits will go a bit slow because there's a lot of detail there, and there's 64 of them. So the G-code gets kind of exhausted really fast. But if you're wanting to swap the model out, print something bigger, larger, less detailed, this thing can actually keep up with it pretty well. So I'm going to be working on a new repository version of this project. It will be a Docker. You get some G-code, throw it in the Docker, run the script. It already has the tools to compile everything in the Docker automatically set up. And then bam, it spits you out a new custom ROM with something that you can 3D print. So be ready for that. But yeah, just like with the Cura sliced 3D versions of this same file, you shine a light behind it, then bam, there's your bits. I think this came out pretty good overall. There was a lot of trial and error when it came to figuring out how to make the handshake go to the Pico, and then the Pico sent out its own handshake to the Game Boy. That was a lot of work, and honestly, without the help of an LLM, I don't think this project would have ever been done. because honestly you need a hardware bridge in the middle of that to figure out these calls, and I just got lucky here figuring it out because the LLM already kind of knew what was going on. Where it got that info from, I have no clue. But with that said, before I leave the video off here, on the GitHub I'll try to also include the 3D printable dock as well. Don't worry, eventually I'll probably make a custom ROM, that way the Game Boy Advance can print its own dock, you know, it can be pretty meta about itself. But right now the dock is nothing to really write home about. I want to change it one day in the future so that the lid flips open so you can stuff the cable in easier. Right now, you gotta stuff the cable in the back, that's how you kind of store it. It's not really elegant. You also get stuck with a little bit of cable sticking out the back I don't like. Plus, if it were to flip open, I could put GBA games in there too, so that's something I might change in the future. But I don't think the overall design for this dock was all that bad, so I'm probably going to keep it looking relatively the same when I do get around to changing it. But yeah, since I can go into a lot more detail with this, and honestly, it would take up way too much time, I'm just going to save that for a future part 2 where we can put in any, well, decode and have it printed out for us. If you do wish to mess with this in its current state, I did include a bunch of debugging programs as well as the actual ROM and the pre-made UF2. So feel free to have a look at it if you want to do something with this. Also, since everything is relatively small, if you're making a game and want to include a trophy system to 3D print actual physical achievements, and you decide to use my code, that's perfectly fine. If you do that, all the merrier. Send it my way and let me play it, because I think that would be super sick, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with this project. But yeah, that's basically it for this video. I'm gonna leave it off here now. DTPK signing out. Peace. With that said, when I say the word memory, yes, I mean as in like RAM. Essentially, for those that fake or a reproduction, I would recommend dumping the data first, just in case there is a